Hello, everyone. Greetings to you. And I'm so pleased to welcome you all to yet another promising session on the Forex Morning Mastery Live. My name is Sheriff Daramola, as you all know, and I'm going to be your host for the next 30 to 40 minutes thereabout while we do a follow-up detail to the analysis I shared during the course of the weekend. And we already have the links in the comments in the description box of this current video, so you can check it out at your own leisure if you have not watched them. And for those who are joining us for the first time, you are highly welcome on board, as our purpose here is to come together as a community on a daily basis, gathering in anticipation of both the New York and London trading session. And during this time, we will be reviewing and manage if we do have current positions, while also aiming to position ourselves strategically in such a way that we Okay, I think I'm back. So I tampered with the cord of my microphone, but I'm glad things are okay right now. So we are all welcome to yet another promising session, like I said earlier. So for those who are still not familiar with how we do it here, so what we simply do is to analyze the 1 hour time frame, which is of course a follow-up detail to the previous analysis, where I was able to do a top-down analysis of these instruments on our watch list for the week. So with that being said, let's dive right into the business for today. And before we go into the details of what our expectations are for today, it's important, while we do it, that we check the economic calendar, which these fundamental factors often manifest on the chart in technical patterns and price movement. And by monitoring the economic calendar, we can easily identify potential correlations between key economic releases and specific technical patterns. So with that being said, we are going to be moving into the economic calendar, where we shall be focusing on high impact events coming in from the economies that affect the currency that is on our watch list, and which are the US dollar, the Japanese yen, and of course the pound sterling. But for today, Monday, June 26th, there are no high impact event, so I went further to filter in medium impact event, and still we do not have any events to look forward to as regards to any of the instruments we are going to be monitoring for this week. So what we are going to be doing is to dive into the chart using our technical skills to position ourselves and guide our trading activities ahead of the trading session. So with that being said, we are going to be moving into the chat. But before I do, please let me know in the comment section if the sound quality is good and the visuals are all right, so that we can all be on the same page. I don't want to have any issues along the line that I can hardly be heard. So please let me know in the comment section if you can hear me clearly without any distortion whatsoever. If there is, please let me know so that I can do the necessary adjustment. And thank you as you do so. Then I also shared a comment in the comment section as regards to the second server, that is the Discord server, which we have the link in the description in the comment section. So if you have a Discord platform, you can easily join us live on that platform too as well. So with that being said here, let's dive right into the business for today. So as usual, the first commodity we are going to be taking this morning is going to be the US oil. So on the US oil, we have a range which we identified this morning. So if you are with me on both my TradingView and Telegram platform, you would have gotten this update. So let's run through the update here and what I was able to decipher from the current market structure after looking at what the participant in the market has been doing since the beginning of this week. So here we are on my TradingView platform, and the first thing I saw here, okay, let's look at the commentaries here. So I said here, the presence of a bullish gap during the weekend indicates the institutional sentiment, while the current trading range of approximately $1 centered around the key level of the week suggests a possible accumulation phase that may lead to a price increase. Nevertheless, it's important to consider the possibility of a breakdown or retest of the $69 level, as it could present selling opportunities for this, at least for the first half of this week. So going back into the live chat, let's talk about what I was trying to say around this area. Now, if you look at the structure here, remember, if you had watched my video on the USOilSPOT, you would remember that we acknowledge a demand zone around the $67.50 level. So for the sake of clarity, let us go through the 4 hours time frame. Let's see how things are working here. So on the 4 hours time frame, we saw a simple flat channel where price action was caught within a range between the $73.50 level and the $67.50 area, giving us a clue into the indecision in the market at this point. And this has lasted for about 3 to 4 weeks now, especially since the beginning of this month. We have been witnessing this whole range thing happen in this market. However, there is something interesting about the structure which has been consistent since the beginning of this month, and is the fact that as soon as price gets into the zone around the $67.50 area, we always see how buyers jump in to negate all attempt by the sellers to break through that structure. The same thing also happened here during the second week of this month, and during the course of the previous week, we saw the same thing happen on Friday after price action got into that area. And now, one interesting thing about that touch of that level on Friday was that the bearish momentum didn't last long, as we saw it touched it and just rejected it sharply and back into that zone around that $68 area. Now, one thing about that level is that you will see that we have a hammer candle, which gives us a sign that buyers are present around that structure, which is a clear sign that we can't ignore the potentials of buyers at this particular point in time. Then, to help us guide our trading activity for this week, we have a key level which I was able to spot after looking at how price action has been reacting to that area. Now, if we go to as far back as the beginning of this month, you will notice how that level has been a major determinant of price action. As you can see, it was a selling niche here. Around this area, it was this we saw a breakout of that structure. Price came back to retest the structure here. We saw a breakdown of structure at this point. Then we saw a little bit of consolidation phase around here, breakout at this point, and then during the course of last week's trading session, we saw how price action break through, then came back to retest that structure during the end of last week to give us a signal of how important that level is. So for me, going into the new week, we want to be using this level to guide our trading activity. And one thing about our key levels, you know how we use our key levels in this community. If price action trades above the key level, we want to be looking out for structures and patterns that will support an opportunity to buy. And if price action remains below the key level and continuous selling pressure exists around that area, of course, we have no other choice than to look out for selling opportunities. Now, if we look at the current structure here, it appears price is right below the key level at the $69.50 level. And of course, we want to be looking out for patterns that will definitely support selling opportunities here based on our technical expectations around that key level. But in as much as we'll be looking out for selling opportunities below the key level at this juncture, we cannot ignore the potentials of buyers here. And one of the reasons why I said that we cannot ignore the potentials of buyers at this juncture is because of this huge demand zone, which has been consistent since the beginning of this month. And one thing about finding price action above a demand zone is that you always want to look out for buying opportunity if price action remains above a demand zone. But at this point in time, we've been seeing some selling pressure here during the early hours of today. So are we going to be jumping into a bearish move? Well, if we are going to be selling at this point, we really do need to see some significant traction or build up in selling momentum to be able to join that bearish move. And I will be sharing with you how we are going to be looking at that and how to take advantage of any opportunity if truly sellers are going to be dictating the pace, at least for the first half of this week. So in order to do this now, we are going to be scaling down into a much more lower time frame where we want to see our participant in this market has been reacting to that area around our key level to determine what our next line of action is going to be like. So we are going to be scaling down into the 1 hour time frame where we want to see how participants has been reacting to this level. Now, when we scale down into the 1 hour time frame, this was what I was able to share with you on my TradingView and Telegram platform. And one thing you will notice here is the first thing you will notice at the beginning of the week is that bullish gap, which we identified around here. So last week, price action closed around the $69.50 level, and we saw the resumption of price around that $70 area to give us a gap of about 50 cents thereabout. It's not that huge anyway, but it reveals the sentiment of trading volume that happened during the course of the weekend, where it's clear that a majority were more of buying the US oil spot. And following the bullish gap we noticed, we saw how the $70 area became a strong resistant line. As you can see, we saw how buyers found it difficult to break through that structure, and as a result of this, we have a resistant level to work with for this week. Now price dropped to the downside, giving us another level to work with, which is the support line sitting exactly at the $69 area, a strong psychological level considering the round figure of that price. Now going into the new week, right now we have a very simple setup that we can use to guide our trading activity for this week, which comes in the form of a flat channel. And you know how we use our flat channel in this community. As long as price action remains within a range, we want to wait patiently for structures to mature to give us an opportunity to either buy or sell. And one of the things we are going to be looking at this point is to see price action either break out of the resistance line to give us an opportunity to buy, or break down the support line here to give us an opportunity to sell. Now, with the situation we have here, I already have a buy stop order above the $70 area with the hopes that price action will break out of that structure so that we can capture an opportunity to buy in this market. And one of the reasons why I have a buy stop order above that $70 area is simply because we are sitting on a very strong demand zone, and it makes quite a lot of sense that looking out for buying opportunity is more reasonable at this point. Now, in as much as we have price sitting on a demand zone, we are looking out for buying opportunity. We cannot ignore the potentials of sellers. And considering how the selling momentum last week was very strong, there's still a chance that sellers could still push price through, breaking out that demand zone to incite a sell-off in this market. So how do we intend to anticipate that? That is, how do we intend to what patterns do we want to see on the chart that will make us change our bias from bullish to bearish? Now, if you look at the structure here, at this point, I'm not going to be having a sell stop order below my support line here. And the reason is simply because of that strong demand zone that we have. That is one. And secondly, it could turn out to be a false breakdown where price could still come back to the upside. So in order to capture any selling opportunity around this area, I would need some further confirmations that will give us that confidence to be part of a bearish move. And one of the things I want to see here, remember I was able to identify this trend line here after connecting the series of higher lows, which will definitely be one of the yardstick we are going to be using to guide our trading activity for this week. So I would like to extend this one a little bit to the downside so that we can capture some of these structures here, the pivot lows here. So we have a trend line here, which we are, in addition to that range, we have a trend line which we are going to be using to guide our trading activity. And one thing about trend line is that it helps us feel comfortable in a buy position, especially an ascending trend line like this. If price action remains above the trend line, we feel comfortable in our buy position and we look out for more opportunities to buy. But if price action breaks down the trend line, then we want to be looking out for selling opportunities. But at this point in time, price action is currently trading around the trend line and around the support line we identified at the $69 area. So we still need some level of patience around here to see how price action will really play out around this level. And the current candle we have right now is running with about 34 minutes. So we need to be very patient to wait for structures to really mature before we want to join any opportunity here. Now, what I want to be looking out for to sell is to see price action break through the trend line to the downside, after which I want to see a close down of that area. Then I scale down into my lower time frame where I want to see a retest of the structure to happen before I can start considering selling. In fact, I want to see signs that buyers are finding it difficult to climb back above the trend line to now give me an opportunity to sell. And if we do sell, remember that we have a demand zone within that blue rectangle box you can see on your screen, where depending on how price action reacts to that zone will determine if we are going to be adding more sell position to our existing trade or get ready to join another bullish momentum, since it's a very strong demand zone that we identified there. So these are the things I'm going to be looking at on the USOilSPOT for today. But trust me, I will be with you in the comment section of both my TradingView and Telegram platforms to give you updates as at when due. So we have a buy stop order at the $70 area, hoping that price action breaks out of that channel to signal a trend continuation to the upside. And like I said, around that $69 area, we still need some patience around that area. We want to see significant confirmations that sellers are actually going to be dictating the pace, at least for the first half of this week. So these are my views here on the USOilSPOT for today. If you have any questions, feel free to let me know in the comment section. So I will be taking the next 10 to 15 seconds to see if there are any questions. Read through the chats, read through the comment section and see. And if there are none, we'll just move on to the next instrument. So, okay, Jonah Aruna, good morning to you. Thank you very much for your, okay, thank you very much, Jonah. I'm grateful. Okay, Nick Wandera Vlogger, good morning to you. Thank you very, very much. Alpha Nashed, okay, tell me about AUDCHF. Well, I'm sorry, AUDCHF is not part of our watch list for today, so I wouldn't be able to talk about that. But let's see what I can do anyways. Let me just see what I can do if I can talk about it, if we are not out of time. All right, so in the absence of no questions, I want to assume that we're on the same page. I hope you've marked these levels out on your chart, as we want to be using this as a reference point to guide our trading activity for today. So moving on now, we are going to be talking about the GBPUSD. We already have a setup marked out on our chart already. And this is what I was able to identify this morning after trying to decipher the psychology behind price movement this morning. And let's run through the commentary on the GBPUSD on my public platform. So I shared this on both my TradingView and Telegram platform. So this was what I said here this morning as regards to the GBPUSD. So I said it is crucial to recall the significance we placed on the 1.27 level, which has served as a robust support for buying power in recent weeks. The fact that the price continues to stay above this level suggests that there is still potential for a buying opportunity. However, if the bears make a substantial effort and manage to break below the key level of the week at the 1.27, it will indicate a favorable direction to consider selling opportunities. We will delve deep into this analysis during our live session. Okay, so let's go back into the live chat here, and this is the 1.27 I was talking about. And if you had been with us here since last week, you would understand what we mean by how important the 1.27 is based on this current market structure. Now, and also I talked about this in detail in my video on the GBPUSD during the course of the weekend. So if you had not watched the video, check the link in the description box of this current video. They are duly timestamped so that you can easily navigate to whichever aspect of the video is of your interest. So on the 1.27 level, you will notice here that since the second week of this month, this level has been a major determinant of price action. And since we had, okay, look at what happened here. On the 14th of June, we saw how this area was a very strong selling niche. We saw how sellers negated bullish attempt there for a while before we finally saw the breakout of the structure during the second week of this month. And since the breakout of that structure to the upside, we can see here how sellers tried to push through back to the downside. As you can see, it failed. We saw the same thing happen during the course of last week multiple times. It also failed. And what this simply tells us about this level is that it has become a strong buying niche in this particular market. And as long as price action remains above this 1.27, we would have no other choice than to look out for buying opportunities above this area. Then in addition to the importance of the 1.27 here is the ascending trend line we identified on the 4 hours time frame. Now, if we look at the 1 hour time frame here, we can still see the ascending trend line. So after connecting the series of higher lows, we had this beautiful ascending trend line. And you can see how the trend line here shares a beautiful confluence with that 1.27. And we saw rejection. And as long as price remains above this trend line, of course, you know, we want to be looking out for buying opportunity above that area. Now, with the look of things on this current market structure, things are looking very, very bullish at this particular point in time. Then in addition to that ascending trend line here is this descending trend line I was able to spot, which started last week, I think. After connecting the series of lower highs, we have a bearish trend line also to work with. And the breakout of this trend line will definitely confirm that the trend line may no longer have the capacity to continue to negate the bullish attempt in this market. And if that happens, we want to be part of a bullish move to the upside. So with this information we gathered here during the course of the weekend, we wanted to see how participants in the market will be reacting to this particular market structure, especially above the 1.270 level. And one interesting setup I was able to identify this morning was this beautiful range where price action is caught within the 1.2740 and the 1.2710 level. And you know how we use our flat channels here in this community. As soon as price action is caught within that kind of range, we want to exercise some level of patience, waiting for structures to mature. And what we are going to be looking out for is either a breakdown of the support line to give us an opportunity to sell, or the breakout of the resistant line to give us an opportunity to buy. So considering the fact that we are sitting on a very strong demand zone around the 1.2700 level, I want us to first of all take into consideration the potentials of the buyers in this particular market. Now we have a resistant line at the 1.27, and if you had seen my commentary this morning as regards to the GBPUSD here, we already have a buy stop order above the 1.2700 level to capture any potential move to the upside. And as you can see, we already have a buy position triggered at this particular point in time. The price action is still ranging around that entry level, so we still need some level of patience to happen. And of course, we want to give room for price action to breathe. So our stop losses should be somewhere around that 1.271 area, which will be dovetailing to around 30 pips stop loss on this current position. So we are going to see and wait to see how price action will be reacting above that 1.27. And one thing I want to also let us know here is how important the 1.274 is, and it also shares a confluence with that trend line. So a breakout of both of these levels will be giving us a sign that buyers have finally come to probably dictate the pace for the first half of the week. So this is what I'm going to be looking out for. So I'm still tending towards a bullish momentum on the GBPUSD, and I will be looking forward to more opportunities to maximize this move if price action goes on to break out of the 1.27850. Now, when we look at this area here, I also have a level around the 1.275, a very strong psychological area. So what I'm going to be looking out for at this point, I'm not going to be having a buy stop order there, considering the strong bearish momentum last week. So I would rather wait and see a breakout, then a retest of structure, followed by buying pressure on my lower time frame for me to be part of any bullish momentum there. So that is how I'm going to be maximizing the potential of this bullish move on the GBPUSD for today. However, if the sell pressure continues to the downside, you know how we do it in this community. In as much as we have a bias figured out, we also want to keep tabs with the potentials of the opposite direction too as well. Now, with this situation we have, and considering the fact that throughout the course of last week's trading session, it was more of lower highs and lower lows, giving us an insight into the level of bearish momentum in the market at that point, we cannot ignore the potentials of sellers too as well. Now, for me to sell the GBPUSD today, I would rather see price action take out the 1.27 area, which I told you earlier is a very, very strong demand zone in this particular market. So price action taking out this buy positions around this area will be that signal we are going to be looking out for to actually sell the GBPUSD today. And one thing you will notice about the breakdown, the potential breakdown of the 1.27, is that it also shares a confluence with that ascending trend line we identified on the 4 hours time frame. So if a breakdown of both the 1.27 and the ascending trend line happens, then we want to start considering selling the GBPUSD by looking out for patterns and structures that will support a bearish momentum to the downside, which of course would reflect on the chart as a retest of either the 1.27 or the trend lines here, where we look out for selling pressure to confirm that sellers are likely going to be pushing price to the downside. So that is how we are going to be selling the GBPUSD today. So, but as long as price remains above the 1.270, I would remain very bullish, and I think that is where the direction of price action is likely going to be going for this week. But if structure states otherwise, we'll have no choice than to listen to the market. So these are the levels we are going to be using to guide our trading activity, most importantly the 1.274, and we continue to look out for more opportunities above the structure if price action continues to give us more opportunities. So if you trust me, I'll be with you in the comment section as usual. So just be with me there, and I will give you update as at when due. If you have any questions, feel free to let me know in the comment section. So I will be taking the next 10 to 15 seconds to read through the comments and see if there are any questions before I move on to the next instrument for today. All right, so in the absence of no questions, I want to assume that we're on the same page. So I will just move on into the next instrument on our watch list, which is the XAUUSD, and in fact we already have a buy position triggered on this one right now, and price is currently running with about how many pips in profit? About 40 pips in profit there. About well done to you if you are taking advantage of that opportunity. So let's quickly run through what our commentaries were this morning on the public platforms, what we said about this commodity, on how we are going to be anticipating a trading opportunity on this one. Okay, so this is our commentary here this morning on the XAUUSD, and this is how we said we are going to be positioning ourselves for the week. So my commentary here goes thus. It says, the presence of a bullish gap at the market opening provides valuable insight into the institutional sentiment in the gold market. The ongoing consolidation between the price levels of the $1,928.50 and the $1,922 could indicate market indecision or a potential build-up for a strong upward movement. However, I strongly believe that the current market is inclined towards the upside, considering the halt of the bearish momentum from last week around the 1,910 zone. A breakout or retest of the descending trend line at the $1,920.50 would further validate the strength of buyers at this point. Nevertheless, it is important to note that the recent comments by Powell regarding possible rate hike are still affecting the market and may potentially generate positive momentum for the greenback. We will exercise patience and allow our trade structures to mature before making any informed trading decisions. So let's go back into the live chat here. So this is what I was trying to explain here on my commentary this morning. So the first thing I said here, the first thing we observed on the 1 hour time frame is the fact that price action has been bullish since Friday. We have been noticing higher lows on this chart. You can see this was the lowest point last week. As soon as price got into the 1,910 level, we saw some rejection, we saw some bullish momentum from that area, and price continued to find higher lows in this market. And we saw what happened a couple of hours ago. We saw another higher low at this point, giving us a beautiful ascending trend line to work with for the week. And you know how we use our trend lines in this community, especially an ascending trend line. So what it simply means is that as long as price remains above the trend line, we continue to look out for buying opportunity and look out to maximize the move by finding new structures that will help us to maximize the potential to the upside. Then in addition to this trend line, the next thing we observed is a bullish gap, which reveals the sentiment in the market during the course of the weekend, which is more of institutional trading. And it tells us that traders, the institutions are believing in investing in the gold at this particular point in time. Then after the bullish gap here, we saw how price action went into a consolidation phase for the first 10 to 12 hours. We saw price action range between the $1,928.50 level and the $1,922 area to give us an insight into the level of indecision at that particular point in time. And you know how we do it whenever we have this kind of simple flat channel. We want to wait patiently for structures to mature to give us an opportunity to either buy or sell. And what we are going to be looking out for in this kind of situation is to either see a breakdown of the support line to give us an opportunity to sell, or the breakout of the resistance line to give us an opportunity to buy. And with our buy stop order placed above the $1,928.50 level, we already have a buy position triggered. And for those who took advantage of this opportunity, well done to you for being on standby to catch that move. So what you are going to be doing right now is, for the fact that price has moved over 40 pips in our favor, and since it's the beginning of the week, we are still testing waters here. It is not quite a statement yet that price action will be bullish, as we will still going to be seeing some confirmation as to the fact that this bullish momentum has come to stay. So as a result of this, we are going to be moving our stop losses to our entry zone right now. So we want to move all stop losses on this buy position into that area around the $1,928 area. Let's secure this position while we continue to monitor how price action will be playing out above this resistance line. Now, for those who had missed out on this opportunity, well, there's no cause to worry. The week is still very, very early. It's still very young. So there are still chances that we could still have more opportunities to maximize this move. And you all know from a technical standpoint, when price action breaks out of an important structure like the 1,928 and this trend line that we have here, there is still a chance that price will still come back to retest that structure. And if it does, there is still an opportunity to look out for buying pressure, like a reversal pattern, to join the trend continuation to the upside. So there's still a chance for price action to come back and retest, respect the ascending trend line, or the $1,928.50 level, which was broken, to maximize the potential to the upside. So it's still looking very bullish at this particular point in time, while we're also going to be looking out for more opportunities above the 1,935 if price action ever breaks out, retest that level. But trust me, I will be with you in the comment section on both my public platforms to give you updates as at when due. So this is how we are going to be maintaining a bullish bias on the XAUUSD for today. However, if at any point in time today price action breaches this ascending trend line, that is this trend line we have here, please note that this trend line should be marked out on our chart so that we can use it as a reference point to guide our trading activity. So if price action at any point in time break through that ascending trend line, then at this point we are going to be negating the bullish bias here, where we shall be looking out for selling opportunities. So as soon as the breakdown happens, we scale down into our lower time frame, where we look out for signs that sellers are still very strong, retest of structure, retest of either the ascending or the descending trend line to incite an opportunity to sell. Then we could have a sell stop order below the $1,922 area to maximize the potential of this bearish move. But as long as price remains above that trend line, that ascending trend line, we don't need to worry about thinking of selling this particular market at this point in time. So let's hold on to our bullish bias and see if this is going to lead into another breakout of the 1,935. So let's see how this plays out in the next couple of hours. I will be with you in the comment section to give you updates as at when due. Then also our XAUUSD live monitoring chart will be on in will be on in about how many hours from now? I think 1, 2, 3. In about 3 hours from now, our XAUUSD live monitoring chart will be on, and it will be broadcasted on both my YouTube and Discord server. So I will be sharing the link to the live chat when it is time on both my public platforms. Okay, so let's see how this is going to play out going forward. Now, moving on, if you have any questions, please let me know in the comment section. If you do have questions, let me know. I'm here and willing to be of help in that regard. So I will be moving on to the last instrument for today. So ensure you have moved your stop losses. Let me do my own right here so that I could just lock in that position right there. Okay, I'll be waiting for questions if there are, while I manage my own position too here. All right. So with that being said there, and the absence of no questions, so I want to assume that we're on the same page. So I will be moving on to the last instrument for today, which is the what's it called, USDJPY, of course. So on the USDJPY, this is what we were able to identify here this morning. So let's run through the commentary before we go into the details for today on the USDJPY. So here, is this my commentary on the US? Okay, yes, this is it. Okay, so this morning I shared here, I said it is essential to emphasize the importance of exercising patience in this market, as market participants have started the week with uncertainty. It is worth remembering that in the previous week, it took 3 days for the market to exhibit significant bullish momentum, remember? And since testing the 143.900 level on Friday, we have observed the emergence of selling pressure, which could potentially lead to a retracement of the previous bullish movement. Consequently, we would now have a new setup on the 1 hour time frame that will serve as our guide for today's trading activity. So now this is what I said here: buy stop above this level, sell stop above this level. So let's see what is going on in the market right now. So right now we already have a sell stop order triggered at this particular point in time. Now, in addition to this range, you can see since the beginning of the week, we saw how price action fell into a range between the 143.750 and the 143.250 area to give us an insight into the level of indecision in this market. Now we know, how we use our flat channels when price action gets into a range like this. We want to see either a breakout of the resistance line to give us an opportunity to buy, or the breakdown of the support line to give us an opportunity to sell. And with our orders placed at both ends, we finally had a sell stop order triggered at this particular point in time, which is not really, it has not really moved significantly well. So we're still going to wait for price action to move very well before we start securing positions. So currently it's running with about 12 pips approximately. So let's wait and see how price action will be reacting to the structure. So your stop loss on this one should be somewhere above the trend lines. Anywhere above the trend line is quite fine. So that is between 25 to about 35 pips stop loss on this one. Let's see how that plays out. Then in addition to that range we identified here is this descending trend line, which you can see on your screen, which of course will be one of the parameters that we are going to be using to guide our trading activity, at least for the first half of this week, where continued price movement below the trend line will make us feel comfortable in our sell position, while we also look out for more opportunities to maximize the bearish move. But if at any point in time price action takes us out of the sell positions and break out of that trend line, then we'll have no other choice than to start looking out for buying opportunity. So for me to buy at this point, I want to see price break out of that trend line, which of course also shares a confluence with that 143.450 level. So if a breakout of the trend line happens and the breakout of the 143.450 happens, I want to be looking out for retest of the structure to give me an opportunity to buy, while a buy stop order above the 143.750 will trigger the second position, hereby maximizing the potential of that move. So on the USDJPY, we have a simple setup to guide our trading activity. So you want to mark these levels out on your chart. Very, very important. The trend line, which we have here, then the 143.450, which of course, if price remains below both of these levels, we still feel comfortable in a sell position. And for those who had missed out on the sell position that we have here, and there could still be some buy pressure that will resume again in the form of price coming back to retest the structure that was broken, that is the 143.450, or the bearish trend line here to incite a trend continuation to the downside. So we are not going to be concerned about this bullish momentum at this particular point in time unless it breaks out of that descending trend line. So these are my views here on the USDJPY for today. So let's mark these levels out on our chart, and then let's stay tuned in, and I'll see you in the comment section while we continue to monitor price action. So on this note, I want to call it a day here. Should I take the next 10 to 15 seconds to read through the comment section to see if there are any questions before I call it a day here? I'm trying to pronounce the name correctly. Irfanar Shed, are you still around? If you're still around, let me know in the comment section so I can take on the AUD CHF. And if you are not, then we'll just call it a day. So I will just give some 10-15 seconds to see if you're still around. Then I can take it. Okay, so I think is offline. So on that note, I will just call it a day here. So it has been a wonderful moment with you guys this morning. So let's hope that this week will start on a very positive note for us. And we shall be coming back here tomorrow to review how well this instrument has been doing so far, while we also get ready for the London and New York session for tomorrow. But before then, we are going to be in the comment section on both my TradingView and Telegram platform as we continue to monitor price action, and we give updates in that regard. Then don't forget the XAUUSD live monitoring chart will be up 30 minutes before the New York section begins. So let's keep tabs on that one too as well. I will be sharing the links accordingly when it's about time. I think about 20 minutes to time, I will be sharing them both in the comment section of both my TradingView and on my Telegram platform, and right here on YouTube and on the Discord server too as well. So do have a wonderful day, everyone. I wish you best of luck, and I hope to see you right in the comment section as we continue to monitor price action. Do have a wonderful day, everyone. Bye-bye.